Hello viewers, 4DIYers here with another video for everyone. In this video here I'll be showing you how to install electric exhaust cutouts. For this I'm using my friend's 1971 Buick Skylark. Keep in mind this is for off-road use only. A link to these cutouts will be included in the video description from Spelab. So first off you'll need to measure the diameter of your exhaust, which I've already done. This will determine which diameter of exhaust cutout kit is required for your car. These have a switch that is required to be installed inside the vehicle, but you can get a remote control version instead. Here's the kit. It pretty much has everything you need. We have the band clamps to install the turn-down pipes. Next is a flange with a butterfly valve and motor. It's made from T6061 aluminum that was CNC machined and is anodized. And of course is the gaskets. Then the module to control the butterfly valves. This will be mounted inside the car. Two turn-down pipes that get installed after the butterfly valve to direct the exhaust flow. These are made from a T304 stainless steel and TIG welded. And finally is the Y pipe. Before we try the fitment on a car, it's best to put everything together first so we know exactly what size we're working with. This is just a rough mock-up. I'm not installing the gaskets just yet. You'll see the proper assembly further on in the video. Install the butterfly in the best orientation for your application. Install this along with the flange for the turn-down pipes. The turn-down pipes are fully adjustable with the band clamps. All the fasteners are supplied in the kit. When welding on the car, it's always a good idea to disconnect the battery so it doesn't cause any problems with the electrical system. We already figured out where the best mounting location is. This is before the mufflers, and it's best to pick a straight section of pipe. In order to keep them hidden, these will be positioned in the center of the car. This will also prevent any clearance issues with the aftermarket chassis bracing. It can be positioned both on the bottom and the side of the pipe to determine the fitment before fully committing to cutting the exhaust. The marks were made with a marker. You can run tape around the pipe or a gear clamp to help keep that line square with the pipe. There are various methods for cutting the pipe and it's based on what you have available. For this I'm using a reciprocating saw with a metal blade. Be mindful on where the blade is pointing so you don't damage anything on the opposite side. Try to keep that cut as straight as possible. It's better to make the opening too small rather than too big. We can always follow up with a grinder after to touch up the cuts. A quick test fit, everything seems to line up quite well. The prep before welding, the pipes are cleaned with sandpaper to remove any coating or rust. These pipes are in good shape, so this can be done quickly by hand. A wire wheel and a drill or a die grinder can also be used. Even abrasive pads on an angle grinder. Once clean, the Y pipe will need to be clamped in place. In order to keep the exhaust section straight, angle iron is used. This will help cradle and center the pipe. Here's a quick view once it's clamped into place before welding. Once in place, the front section is tack welded into place. We found a slight interference with the back section, so it was touched up using an angle grinder. Next, this section was clamped into place with the angle iron. Then it was tack welded as well to hold everything together. The tacks will prevent the exhaust pipe from moving. The clamps were then removed. The pipe can now be fully welded. My friend is doing the TIG welding here. Unfortunately, I can't take credit for this. I still have yet to learn how to TIG weld, and that is something on the list for the future. TIG is used instead of MIG as it provides a cleaner weld, is softer so there's less chance of cracking when there is a butt weld, and it still maintains a strong joint. It does however take a little more time than compared to MIG welding. He does use a filler rod based on the materials he's working with, and while we have a slightly larger gap in the one spot, he was able to fill that up easily. The exhaust could be easily dropped, but we decided to avoid the extra work. The other pipe was then cut. We matched the position, made our reference marks, and then cut the pipe out using the same process. After a test fit, we did find some adjustments needed to be made. The angle grinder was used to modify the cuts. Take your time, make sure you don't remove too much material. Once satisfied, the pipe was then clamped into place. We made sure the angle of the Y was in the right spot, matching the first one. The Y was angled up slightly to prevent any water or moisture pooling inside, which may cause issues for the electric butterfly motor in the future. The pipe was tack welded into place to hold its position. Then the pipe was fully welded just like before. As mentioned before, the exhaust could be removed from the vehicle if you would rather not weld on the car. This can give you more room for welding, but it's also hard to match the position of everything, so there may be some fitment issues after it does shift. Now is bolting up the butterfly flaps. Each of the bolts has a flat washer and lock washer installed. As an added step, I added some medium grade thread locker. The flange on the opposite side is threaded, so there's no need to use the nuts. Make sure the supplied gaskets are installed for before and after the butterfly assembly. After it's tight, install the band clamp and turn down pipe. Do the same for the opposite side. Install that flat washer and lock washer onto the bolts and apply some thread locker. Install the gasket, butterfly flap, gasket again, and then the flange. Finally, the band clamp and turn down is installed and tightened in place. Now for the wiring, these have a plug-and-play connection that will be under the car. I'm not sure if the connection is fully watertight and it could possibly come undone. As an added step, adhesive-filled shrink tube was added over the connection. This will seal up the connection and prevent it from coming apart. Then the same process was done for the other connection. We found some wire retaining loops, so these were added to the bolts on the bottom of the floor to keep the wires in place and away from the drive shaft. The same was done for the other wire. The wires off the motor were also cable tied back, again keep it away from the drive shaft. Now is a final look under the car when everything is in place. Everything is neatly tucked up close to the floor. It's extremely hard to see this setup when the car is on the ground. I'll show you a sound clip in a moment once everything is wired up. We found a hole just above the tailstock of the transmission, so this is where the control wire was fed through into the cabin. There isn't a center console but instead a shifter box. The wire comes under this and will be mounted in a more permanent install after, which I won't be showing in this video. We have a momentary rocker switch. This doesn't need to be held, but instead pushed in one direction or the other for the flaps to fully open or close. There's also a module, and the power source from this kit uses the cigarette or 12-volt output port. When the butterfly is operated, here you can see it opening and closing. And finally, what everyone's been waiting for, sound clip. First is in the car. Surprisingly, with this being directly under the seat, the vibrations from the tone and even the overall loudness isn't extreme at all. Then a clip with the car running. When the flaps are closed, you can see the exhaust fumes exiting the tailpipe. But once those flaps are open, then it's exiting under the car. New videos released every week on my channel. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It's a huge help to me, and leave a comment below if you found this tutorial helpful. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to also hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.